What's up, Hobby Maniacs? Rob Bear back again today with a look at the newest White Dwarf. We're on issue 111, dated 12th March 2016. And yes, Age of Sigmar is back. And, I couldn't think of a better kind of range for them to, come back, air quotes. I know you can't see my air quotes, so there they are. Than the Stormcasts themselves, because they are such an iconic kind of look to them. And I feel like Games Workshop was going for that in the beginning anyways. Everybody says the Sigs Marines or, Sigmar Marines or Thunder Warriors, and we've seen all the conversions out there since last summer. And I feel like a kind of like a flawed rollout of their kind of new line aside, the models are all fantastic, very good looking stuff, and once you really get into the game, and don't get it twisted, it does well. It does well at a lot of stores. There are the stores that it has entrenched itself in. It does very well, and it's it's good to see those folks really enjoying the new game and enjoying these fantastic looking new models. Now, these are the Dracoths. These are basically the Dragon Cavalry that are coming at us this week, and then of course we've seen some previews already for next week, which looks to be some sort of Dragon Riders or some sort of big dragon himself. We don't exactly know yet, but we're going to get to that. So here's the contents for this issue. Of course, the new releases, which there is a little bit of 40K stuff in there, but not too terribly much, unfortunately, I feel like. And then we've got a paint splatter article, very good one this week on the Stormcasts themselves. Miniatures of the Year, well, that's that's a little bit of everything. We've seen that. It's been a feature for I think 3 years running now. I believe the Imperial Knight won last year, which is pretty deserving, pretty groundbreaking shit right there, and I feel like it's a great looking model regardless. Then the Warscrolls for the new Dracoth. There's 4 different ones, and of course their actual kind of sergeant upgrade can actually be a Lord Celestin if you don't feel like using the one that came with the starter box. And then it gets into some updates around the office there that we don't normally cover in the first look kind of review preview here. So there's a look at the Dracothian Guard. Very cool looking minis, a variety of weapons, because like I said, there's 4 different war scrolls available for these guys. Then it gets into some of the other new releases. We got a Clan Pack mini coming out, the Tempest Lords, which is just basically weapon upgrades and shield upgrades. We've seen this stuff in the past. It gives you a lot of options for character for your Stormcast. It's not exactly something you need to do, but it's kind of cool to have it in there and have that flavor. And remember all the different chambers have a specific kind of paint scheme, so that's neat to see. Then you've got the Extremis Stormcast Eternal new Battle Tome coming out. That's it's not a hardcover, it's a soft cover. It's only I think $25, but it still has a lot of the same content that we've come to expect. And then the big spoiler alert there, some sort of dragon being ridden, if it's not Dracothian himself, and maybe one of his kin or smaller versions, just like the little guys there, little cavalry guys. How to paint book, and it's only $10, so that's pretty cool, to see that sort of thing right there. Then you've got a super glue, which is some sort of new thing from Games Workshop that's not like in a bottle, it's kind of like a squeeze tube. So I'm not exactly sure what all that is going to be exactly, but hey, it is what it is, and maybe it's better, maybe it's not. I don't know, I haven't used it yet. Hopefully at least the nozzle is, it doesn't clog, or, is perhaps I guess a little bit easier to make sure you get all the material out of there, because I'm sure you guys have in the past picked up a bottle of glue and had the bottom, just basically at the very bottom, all the sediment and everything over a year or so basically calcifies at the bottom of the bottle of glue. It's ugh, well, I guess I'm not using that glue today. Woo! Then new Black Library book. This is the Beast Arises series, The Last Wall here. And if you go up to Amazon, you can actually do a search for Horus Heresy. You can find all sorts of stuff, because I guess the way the book thing works is that Games Workshop has to, as an air quotes publisher, has to get that stuff to Amazon ahead of time, and Amazon has to put it in its catalog, has to get to ASIN for it, which is their fancy SKU number, has to do all sorts of things like that in order to get these things to the market. And a lot of times you can find the full artwork up there as well, the full thumbnails. They give them the full-on artwork. So if you want a sweet desktop, a sweet screensaver or something like that, you don't feel like paying for it from Black Library, generally you can find them up on Amazon, at least before the book comes out. Then you got some new starter paint sets coming out. Now, these, I don't know if you noticed, but like it looks like they literally took the new bottles and like cut them in half. They're like little mini bottles almost. I feel like maybe that's an option from that particular manufacturer, but it's pretty cute. I was like, wait, what? Did they cut that off? No, I guess that's the way it comes. So you get about half the paints there. They're only $33, which I think it's $33. Yes, it is $33. So $33 for a brush, a couple of Marines, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 paints. Doesn't seem like too bad of a deal when considering those paints themselves are generally around $4 each. You know, the full version of them, and then of course, you know, you got some of the guys there. Some of the brushes are like $10. So yeah, win or lose, it's definitely pretty much on the win side, I feel like, from Games Workshop. Another new release from Warscroll, which we haven't actually seen yet, I don't think. I think this was previewed. I don't think this was actually released. I may be wrong. I don't think we've seen a lot of stuff from Warscroll already. Now, this is the Domitar class Battle Automata, and that actually had rules not in the last Horse Heresy book, but I believe the book before it, book 5, Tempest from November of last year. So that one is just basically bringing up the rear on the new model releases, I feel like. Then a great looking paint splatter, and I was really excited about this one. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but does that look like He-Man on Battle Cat right there? Because it almost, like, I saw that immediately. I was like, oh, hey, it's cringeworthy. But, you know, I hadn't seen anything like that in a while. I really like this green, this kind of teal, this blue-green right here. And they give you the recipe for it, like the underbelly and everything, and then the actual scales themselves. So it's kind of like a two-part process, coming up from underneath with the underbelly and then hitting the scales themselves. And it's really a striking paint scheme right here. I would love to see something like this on some Marines maybe, or even just, you know, one of the Chamber Extremists right there, or the Chamber Militants from the Stormcasts themselves. More how to paint golds, we've seen that in the past, but I do like this cloak tutorial here. They work in some of the orange reds right here, and I think that's very striking. And then of course the inner cloak, which you don't really see good tutorials on how to paint white sometimes, because white you kind of have to work up from gray, or kind of shade it with gray in order to do it right, I feel like. So kudos to them for having such a really good paint splatter article there. Then it gets to the Miniature of the Year feature, which, you know, there was so many good miniatures last year. I feel like they couldn't let the Night Titan win it 2 years in a row. So I automatically knew. I was like, yeah, that Night Titan is not going to win it. But, you know, there's some good contenders out there. Some Tau stuff. I'm not exactly sure about that right there, but the Bloodthirster was definitely groundbreaking. Maybe not some of these guys, but I could see the Ghost Skill. But it turns out in the end, it was Interrogator Chaplain, Storm Surge, and Archaon himself. So Archaon definitely is deserving of it. That's a fantastic miniature. I mean, it's not really a miniature, it's quite possibly a largature. But it's a great model. I mean, just it's such a cool model, and this actually see it in person and really appreciate it, which I don't feel like, you know, with Age of Sigmar not getting the respect it deserves, sometimes I feel like, you know, a lot of folks aren't going to see these models and be exposed to kind of how much Games Workshop has really upped their design game in, you know, the near term, or even just in the, I don't even know, like the last 2 years or so. Getting into the Warscroll section of the White Dwarf. Now, if you're in Age of Sigmar, this is probably a good pickup for you because it's got some free rules in it that may or may not be available online or in a different book. It's hard to say. I have not kept up with what rules in what book yet for them. But, you know, that being said, free is always good in my book. So this guy looks to be a version that you can build out of the new Dracoth box itself. It's a Lord Celestant. Now, we've seen similar stats to this guy in the past, like the one that comes in the starter set. But, you know, overall, I think he's pretty solid. Most of his attacks have rend, pretty decent damage. He's got a D3 damage at 2-inch range. I love those 2-inch range, because when you're in melee and you can just be like straight smiting fools from 2 inches away, that's pretty solid. And then, let's see, so his abilities, he's got the hammer that lets him make D3 extra attacks with his Tempestos hammer, if you take that one. Or you could do the Thunder Axe, which add 1 to the attack of any models of this model's Thunder Axe for each Stormcast Eternal unit from your army within 5 inches. So that's definitely attainable, I feel like, you know, at 5 inches away. Or you could take the Lightning Hammer, which is the result of a hit from this model's Lightning Hammer is 6 or more. The unit immediately suffers 2 mortal wounds as warriors are blasted to ash. So pretty decent options there. And then there's a Storm Strike Glaive as well. And the Dracoth, it can actually have a quote-unquote attack as well. The Claws and Fang attack. That if the wound roll for its Claws or Fang is 6 or more, then that attack causes D6 damage rather than 6. So just the normal baseline there. But if it gets through, it could do some damage. I could see where a big giant dragon swatting you in the face like you were a kitty cat play toy would hurt you pretty much badly there. And then the next page is page 1 and 2 of the new War Scrolls for these guys. So you got the Fulminators and the Tempestors. Now the Tempestors are kind of like the shooting attack kind of guys, but they do have the shields, which is really interesting that they have that kind of protection there, and which lets them reroll saves of 1, which is kind of like reverse preferred enemy, I feel like, which is pretty respectable, pretty dope, to be quite honest. They only have 1 rending attack. The Fulminators have multiple rending attacks. They also have missile weapons, but it's only a 6-inch range, so not quite dependable, kind of like a closing kind of thing. They have a pretty cool thing called a glaive wall, where basically they kind of twirl their glaives, and they get +1 to any save results they make for the unit during that shooting phase. So I don't know, it's kind of a cool thing. And they also have the Sigmarite shield, so they get to reroll the 1s, and of course they could add 1 to result as well. So you know. Those two mechanics together, probably not a good thing, I feel like, if you're trying to get the most bang for your buck there. But at the end of the day, well, you can re-roll it because, but you're never going to roll 1. So I don't know, you kind of got to do the math there. And then they got a couple other special rules too. And then the Concussors and the Desolators are coming in hot. Now these are the close combat, straight up guys. Both have the Sigmarite shields, so they can reroll the rolls of 1 with no real drawback like we just saw there. The Concussors have the Thunderstrike ability. If you roll a 6 or more to hit, if the attack inflicts a mortal wound in addition to other damage it causes. And remember, that's a -2 rend as well, and a 2 damage result. So they're gonna hit some. You want to send them up against the elite kind of troops, because they're gonna basically chew through them the quickest. Against normal kind of foot soldier kind of things, they're not gonna do quite as much damage, I feel like. And then the Desolators have the Fury of the Storm special rule. They make 4 attacks with the Thunder Axe rather than 4 if there are at least 4 models in its unit, or 6 attacks if there are at least 6 models in their unit. So hey, you only get 2 of these to a box, but hey, if you buy 4, you get this. But if you buy 6, you get this. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of see what they're doing there. And like I said, they both have the Sigmarite shield. So that's just a brief overview of their rules. You can obviously see them mo better for yourself right in front of you there. So there's the Concussors and the Desolators themselves. And then we get to the back where they got the teaser for next week, and it does look like we're going to get some sort of dragon thing. The Scions of Dracoth and Warriors of the Extremist Chamber. So something new, something big, who knows what, but it should be pretty exciting, and something exciting is always good for the hobby. Hopefully it's a big Billy Badass model. Oh, and you can almost see what the models are going to look like if you go to, where's the picture? Right there. So you can kind of see these big things with wings in the background here, and there's kind of a head right there. Those kind of gaping jaw kind of things right there, but it's very hard to make out. It's purposely fuzzy, but I feel like Games Workshop put that in there on purpose almost for us to notice. So there is something dragon coming. Don't exactly know, but dragons. I'm not saying dragons, but dragons. So that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed my first look review of the new White Dwarf and the return of Age of Sigmar.